Well, another up and down week for the Dodgers. Hey, such is baseball, right? We're in the doldrums of summer, starting to get to the playoff race. My name is Ryan Bershinger, and today I'm going to talk about how it looks like the Dodgers might have some problems coming in on the horizon with their roster crunch. However, as we see with this team all the time, problems just seem to work themselves out.
Yeah. I'm Bo Benson, and I need you guys in your head to cue the Unsolved Mysteries theme song because we're going to go looking for something that everybody says exists, but I'm not sure it does.
That's right. Just the two of us today. This is the Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone. Let's get into it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. The Dodger Zone.
That's big strike three. Dodgers have won it all in 2020.
Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter at 10:17 in the evening of June the 29th, 1990. If you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky.
The sickest LA Dodgers podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Yeah, another weird week overall. I think not just in baseball, Bo, as you know, I strained my back severely this week, like to the point where I did have to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
So I'm just putting that out there now to let people know if you hear me start to make weird grunts at any point, that's why. It's because I'm currently just being propped up by a pole.
Yeah. I bet you are.
God damn it.
That's right. This is a podcast for the boys today, fellas. This is boys chat today.
Oh, God.
That's why we're doing the top 10 hottest Dodgers.
Oh, man.
I was actually thinking driving home today, the Dodgers their hotness index is way down compared to previous years.
I guess.
Yeah, no, like there's nobody.
I was gonna say, do I agree with that? I don't know.
There's nobody doing it for anybody anymore. Chris Taylor stinks now, so there's no groupies for him. Enrique stinks, no groupies.
But okay, let's have a serious conversation about this. Compare it to last season's. Okay, into past seasons. 1, Shohei Ohtani, great looking man. 2, Tyler Glasnow, great looking man.
Oh God, is he?
I think he is. And now you throw in Jack Flaherty, and what a handsome man that is. So I think the hotness index has been on a steady incline.
Interesting. Like, what if that was their goal at the deadline? Like, we gotta just
get better looking.
We gotta get sexier,
dude. Like, bring him on in.
I love Kevin Kiermaier so much. He's one of the worst hitters of all time. I don't know if that's statistically true, but I'm just going to say it is. Sure. They brought him in, obviously, to play defense in center field. And the first time he had a chance to make a play, he just lost a ball in the sun, and it hit like right in front of him. I'm like, why are you here then, dude? Like, what's going on, man? Andy Pajes can do that.
I know. He did that. Then, it wasn't even in the sun. It was just he forgot kind of where the wall was, and he got close to it.
I mean, he just forgot how to play baseball. He was probably thinking about his fantasy draft coming up. Who knows?
But that was in the first game of the Philly series, where thankfully the Dodgers didn't end up winning. Glasnow pitched well, and that was the only blemish on Glasnow's evening was the fact that he had a fly ball hit to Andy Pajes that he just did not
directly
play. It's which and as you remarked to me earlier this week, it does appear that Andy Pajes is in fact actually getting worse at center field, which is really weird. You'd think that
actively worse
there should improve. I understand he's not a natural center fielder. And then on Tuesday night he had moved to right field instead, and he looked better. He looked fine. So it was just odd to have that happen in that first game of the series where instantly the Dodgers fell behind, and it was because of a ball that if Kevin Kiermaier was in center field, he would have caught it. So but that kind of brings to the point that I think one of the big points of this episode today is looking at where the Dodgers roster is going to be moving forward, because we've had a lot of good news on the injury front today. Both Max Muncy and Tommy Edman are going to start the rehab assignments this weekend, which means that you should expect them back in the next week or two. Mookie was... Is this public knowledge? Are we breaking this? Mookie Betts was taking batting practice yesterday on Tuesday.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope that's
it is now.
It is now. Apparently, he was taking live batting practice.
Well, and they said he's not even going to need a rehab assignment, or they don't feel like he's going to need one, so they're just going to put him in a sim game and then activate him. So,
which makes sense. Like, he just broke his hand. The rest of his body's been totally fine this whole time. Yeah. So, he should be fine.
Funny, healthy enough to go to Rams camp.
Yeah,
probably go bowling a couple times.
hit up Winnetka movie. Yeah. Come on down. Let's hang out. So also good news on the injury front. Apparently Brusdar Graterol did not rip his hamstring. So
I don't know what happened. Like, did they forget the script and like accidentally go the other way around? Like last night they were supposed to be like, yeah, it's just a grade 1. Well, he'll be fine. And then this morning they're supposed to be like, yeah, he's actually dead. Like he died from his injury last night. I knew he was dead when I was telling you guys that he just had a grade 1 hamstring tear.
Yeah.
But like, hey, good for him, man.
Yeah. The initial reports were it was a grade 3, which is like off the bone practically, right? Like
just decimated.
It just
decimated.
Like, just horrible. And I mean, the way that he was, helped off the field, it did appear that it was pretty severe.
No, it didn't look good.
But apparently it's been downgraded to a grade 1 strain, which then now leaves hope that he could actually pitch this season, because
it just comes back tonight.
Yeah.
Like, I'm cool, actually, guys. Relax.
You know what? I'm fine. No worries. It was just a cramp.
Bazooka, baby.
We are still very close to him just having a full Aaron Rodgers season, where it's just, comes out carrying the flag, takes 4 snaps, never seen again. That's
he spends the entirety of August and September being like, no, I'm gonna come back. Just you wait, guys. I'm coming back.
We are World Series favorites because
he goes to Egypt. Yeah. Goes to Egypt.
Yeah, this is just the beginning for really a weird 365 days coming for Brusdar Graterol. But no, hopefully it is in fact just a grade 1, which means that we could get him back come playoff time, which would be great to have, even though we haven't really seen him pitch at all.
What if the Dodgers had just had like a setting on their MRI machine set wrong for the last like 4 years, and it's like they have it on bad news only setting. They're like, oh damn, who flicked this switch?
Yeah, they're like, listen, Dustin, I know you have torn your esophagus, but it turns out your arm's been fine this whole time. And he's like, what the hell, man?
Well, actually, that would lend credence to the theory that Dr. Elatrash is just doing this for money. So
that's true.
I'm just asking questions.
Hey,
I'm just asking questions. I'm not saying anything.
Filthy rich.
It's just crazy how every time he sees somebody, he's like, oh yeah, that elbow's got to come off, man. And I'm the only one that can do it.
Didn't he do like Deshaun Watson's arm as well? Like he's moved to like different sports.
Yeah.
So
not good enough. I think should have been removed from the elbow down. Sorry, Deshaun.
No, he saw that guaranteed money and was like, Deshaun, you need Tommy John. And he's like, oh, bitch, man. No. You need Tommy John.
Yeah. You desperately need this. Bring your checkbook.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe they thought it was the opposite. Maybe it's like the threat levels, where they thought like threat level 3 is actually the okay one and 1 is the really bad one, so they're like, that's grade 3.
Should have never let Daryl, the dyslexic doctor make the diagnosis.
But yeah, so looking at the fact that specifically Mookie Betts, Max Muncy, and Tommy Edman are going to be returning / debuting for this Dodgers lineup in the next couple weeks. You do kind of look at this team right now and wonder, all right, well then who are the odd men out? Because you just had James Outman get sent down. You had Kevin Biggio beat DFA'd already once he started hitting. Poor guy.
Whatever.
Hey,
Whatever.
he
I don't
actually
care.
did decently for a week
Yeah.
there. Good on you, Kevin. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he'll accept the minor
Yeah,
league
he could end up at
assignment.
Oklahoma City. Who knows?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe he's already been released. I have no idea. I haven't been
Yeah, I'm gonna
fully
be
tapped
honest.
into the happenings of Kevin
Look,
Biggio.
guys, you could not pay me to care about what Cavian Biggio is up to. Whatever. If I don't have to see him again, awesome. That's
But then beyond that, you have Nick Ahmed, who, hey, had that home run in Kershaw's debut. That was awesome. Has played some good defense. Has been a non-zero as a player, and that's great. But it's pretty safe to assume that once at least one of these guys come back, Nick Ahmed will get that first DFA.
Mm-hmm.
Then beyond that, you kind of have an interesting situation because one, you could look at, as we've talked about in the past, Kike Hernandez. But Kike's in a really weird spot right now where he actually has produced offensively pretty well in the second half. As since the All-Star break, he's had a couple of very strong performances offensively to the point where we are recording this on Wednesday prior to the rubber match between the Dodgers and Phillies. And in tonight's game, he's batting cleanup. And meanwhile, Ahmed Rosario is on the bench. And no, I don't understand this.
No.
Good on you, Kike, but Ahmed Rosario all year has been a better hitter, period, than Kike. It's not just the fact that Ahmed Rosario is hitting lefties well. He's also been hitting righties pretty well this season. Yeah. So it's really weird to look at this team in the state that they're in and watch Ahmed Rosario be treated as a platoon bat, while Kike Hernandez is being treated as a middle of the order, sometimes cleanup bat. Again, I'm not trying to fully disparage Kike here. He has had a good couple of weeks here, but when you're looking at the overall track record of the season, I'm really struggling to understand why Rosario is not in the lineup somewhere every day.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't at all. Why'd you trade for the guy just to put him on the bench?
Yeah.
Especially because like the whole reason we like the deadline is because they acquired Jack Flaherty and they raised the ceiling for this roster, or they raised the floor for this roster. So like part of the reason the floor was so damn low was because Kike Hernandez was playing every day. Mm-hmm. So why did you go get Ahmed Rosario if you're not just going to play him?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense to me. That it's weird. It's baffling. It's like, is this a Dave decision, or like what is the deal here? Very curious. I know Dave mentioned that he likes Kike's defense, but like he's not like the greatest defender of all time.
Right.
So like I would trade Rosario's bat for Kike's defense any day of the week.
Yeah.
Especially when this team scores they've been scoring like 3 runs a game lately.
Right.
Like, come on.
And to that point too, this is where it gets weird when you look at like what they're going to do with the roster. Because if you look at the bench then, and if you see Kike and Ahmed Rosario as kind of redundant players, Kike should be the one who's the odd man out there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's being treated as if Rosario is going to be the one who would be the odd man out. And then you still need to then move another guy off the roster.
Yeah.
And you're looking at, does Andy Pages get sent back down? Like, is that something that they do? Do they DFA Kevin Kiermaier after bringing him in? Because in essence, like, that sounds weird because we really like Kiermaier's glove in center. But if Tommy Edman's healthy, then Edman could play center field every day. Yeah. And if Kiermaier was also traded for Ryan Yarbrough, who was DFA'd. So there is a reality in which Kiermaier is only on this team for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And if that's what happens, then that's fine. But so the point that I made at the top of the show, these things do tend to work themselves out for the Dodgers. It does feel weird talking about the Dodgers having too many guys when the clear issue for the last couple months has been they've not had enough guys. Yeah. So I would bank on somebody's going to get hurt, because that seems to be what always happens. Even if they don't actually get hurt, somebody will be, you know what? they're on the injured list now.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to see them really cutting ties with guys like Kike and even Kevin Kiermaier at this point.
Dude, there's no way they could DFA Kike. Dodger fans would make January
No.
6th look like a fucking circus.
Yeah. People would lose their minds if that
Yeah.
happened. He's beloved by the fan base, but the reality is like, are you going to DFA Ahmed Rosario? No, you shouldn't do that.
I generally think you're right on the money. I think they'll probably DFA Kiermaier and play Edmonich at center field because they're committed to playing Mookie at short.
Yeah, which is
so that makes the most sense, I think.
Yes.
When I really actually sit here and think about it, that they're stupid enough to do that this year.
And this is a good point. And I want to bring this up about Mookie playing shortstop. But before we mention Mookie playing short, because there was news yesterday that apparently Mookie's going to go back to shortstop when he's healthy. He's already on your shirt for
That's
one.
Right.
That's, if you see this,
this
is an old school MLB Jam shirt with
right.
Mookie Betts and Shohei Ohtani.
From
and
our friends.
That is from our friends at Homage. Homage specializes in ultra comfy, high quality looks, repping sports, pop culture, and more legendary moments. Learn more about Homage with the link in the description. You'll find that link in the description on our YouTube video. That is Homage, HOMAGE. They have great stuff. Of course, I've got a shirt and a sweatshirt with them.
Yeah, this is really comfortable, guys. Like, I'm not even kidding. I immediately after putting this on, I ordered like 4 more shirts.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But looking at Mookie Betts specifically now, he's going to return, and apparently, according to Dave, they're going to put him right back at short.
And Friedman too. Friedman said the same thing.
Yeah, which is something that we all collectively have discussed as something that we're not crazy about. Ideally, put him back in right field, hell, even just second base. Now, granted, the fact that Gavin Lux has been good since the All-Star break is probably what has forced this decision.
Yeah.
However, it is also like we do not need to hold on to Jason Hayward in right field. That's something that we can be honest about.
I will say I think they actually do.
Okay.
For one reason only. Freddie Freeman spoke glowingly in a post-game interview after he came back about playing with Jason Hayward. And how good it's been for him. So given what Freddie's gone through, I would just keep Hayward around this year.
Yeah, well, let me rephrase what I'm saying. We don't need to hold on to the idea of Jason Hayward as an everyday right fielder.
Yes,
I'm
true,
totally fine with Hayward on the bench.
He can
because
he can eat he's like the Michael Young roster spot, right?
Yeah.
Just the vibes guy.
Yes, and he does
one player.
He's got a great arm in the outfield. He plays defense well, and he still has pop in his bat, and we still see it. He's, his production comes and goes. But I'm fine with keeping Hayward on the roster. Like if it came down to like Hayward or Kiermaier, I would keep Hayward.
Yeah.
But we don't need to. There's no reason for him to be playing every day. I get the potential idea would be when Edman comes back, if Kiermaier's gone, then you just straight platoon Pages and Hayward in right field, which is fine. But also, we do need to point out the fact that like Miguel Rojas has been good this season. And Miguel Rojas has been the best version of Miguel Rojas that he could possibly be in the year 2024. And that is great. It's been a blessing. He'll give you elite defense every day at short. And he's hitting like 270, 280. So that's great. If comparing either having Rojas's bat or the Hayward Pages platoon, I see the offensive advantages to having that platoon, but there's clear defensive advantages to having Rojas at short. And you take Mookie off of shortstop, and Rojas's bat has been fine. So I'd prefer for them to move Mookie back to right, but they're not going to do it. If anything, they would move him to second, but because Lux has been good for the past few weeks, they don't feel like they can do that. So then it's a question of, do you like Lux or Rojas more in the everyday lineup? And if Gavin can keep hitting this way, I would take Lux. Absolutely. If he can keep doing this, that's great.
I wanted to look up
Mhm.
I wanted to look up Rojas's stats from when he started, like, got moved into the starting lineup. And
Yeah.
obviously it's a little skewed because he did get hurt, but he hit 262.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a huge fall off.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's fine. But again, with Rojas, the thing is just always, it feels like he's one wrong move away from just disintegrating because he's old.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, dude, I don't know. At some point, I feel like I'm just harping on it, like beating a dead horse. Like, it just all comes back to their inability to meaningfully address the shortstop position.
Yeah.
And like, maybe Tommy Edman is that guy, but like, then it moves into like, well, what are you going to do in center field?
Yeah.
Because you haven't meaningfully addressed that since Bellinger left.
Right.
You just bring Cody back this offseason.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they very well could.
Yes.
That would be an easy fix. Bring Corey Seager back this offseason. How about that? You mentioned it with what's Jock doing? He's got to move again, right?
He's been a beast in Arizona.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, shocker.
That's all right. You mentioned it with Jason Hayward, but we can't go this entire episode without talking about Freddie Freeman. And I mean, we didn't lead off with it. Obviously, it's a huge story, but we didn't lead off with it as a topic because there's not much else to say about it other than like, it's awesome that that Max is doing well. It's awesome that his family's back home. It's awesome that he was able to come back and play. There didn't seem to really be any sort of question of him like not coming back at all. Like he just it very much looked like he was like he needed this. Like this is his life, playing baseball is his life, and coming back was something that helped him kind of feel like everything was all back to normal again.
Yeah.
Which I can totally see. So that was awesome. It was great to see the Dodger fans give him a very warm welcome. Very well deserved. And it was great to hear that so many people, not just Dodgers, guys from around the league reaching out, how like Bryce Harper was texting him constantly. How all these different guys
tampering, but okay.
Which is
Magic Johnson has just been fined $1 million. I actually, in that same interview that Freeman mentioned Hayward with our friend John Paul Morosi, he also mentioned how important the Dodger fan base had been to him and Chelsea through this time, which is actually good to hear from Freddie. And good on our fans for not being fucking dicks and exacerbating the situation. Yeah. Rare Dodger fan W there.
There we go. So yeah, good on everyone. It was a really special moment to see. Glad you and thank God that they didn't like give him a pitch clock violation or whatever.
That would have been so sick.
I'm saying that as a joke, but I swear to God, didn't that happen like early in the season last year where like there was somebody had gotten an ovation in a game and like they actually did charge him a strike because he didn't get in the box.
Man, I swear to God that happened at one point. Angel Hernandez would have done that. It's a lock to come from Angel Hernandez.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, great to have Freddie back, obviously. Just to know that everything is all good there with him and his family. And as a secondary note, very nice to see him in the lineup again because the lineup definitely needed him. But yeah, great that everything's good, all good there.
Actually, that is something that the Dodgers have been getting a lot of shit over the last like week and a half for how bad they've been, which is like fair. But also, like, I hope people understand that they are bringing back like 5 All-Stars in the span of 2 weeks here.
Yeah,
like they're getting Freddie back. They got Freddie back. They're getting Mookie back. They're getting Max Muncy back. They're eventually going to have Yamamoto, who would have been an all-star if he didn't get hurt. So like, cut him some. I imagine that the thinner division lead that isn't that thin. It's what, like 5.5, 4.5 now. I think maybe 3.5.
Something like that.
So whatever. Like that division lead should probably grow again when they actually have their actual roster available.
Right.
Which
It should.
but you didn't hear any of that for the Phillies, who going into the All-Star break had like what, a 10-game lead on the Dodgers for the best record in the National League, and now it's down to like 2.
Yeah.
So but the Phillies, you don't hear anything about them struggling.
Yeah. It blew my mind to hear that at the start of the series with the Phillies, the Dodgers actually had a chance to overtake the Phillies for the best record in the league.
Which is just, like the way people have talked about the Dodgers for the last week. Yeah, you'd think that the D-backs and the Padres and the Giants had surpassed them and skyrocketed to the top of the standing. Like, give me a break, man. Come on.
Yeah. Now I want to get to your point. We can cue the Unsolved Mysteries music in your mind because we do not have the rights to play it.
Yeah, we can't play it.
We're not even
gonna. I'm not even gonna hum it. I'll start humming it, and then that door behind me is gonna open, and I'm just gonna get shot in the head by the Netflix police.
But please lay out your scenario.
Well, as we mentioned, Andrew Friedman and Dave Roberts both mentioned that when Mookie's healthy and ready to come back, they're going to put him at shortstop, which is not ideal. It's not good. He's not good there. He isn't a good defensive shortstop. He's bad at it, actually. He's probably one of the worst, if not the worst, shortstops in baseball. But the common refrain you hear throughout every postseason is, the Dodgers care too much about their laptops. They got to manage and they got to put lineups out there with their heart and their eyes and use the eye test. And I'm sorry, but the laptop would tell them to not put Mookie Betts anywhere near shortstop. The laptop would immediately crash because it wouldn't understand how stupid the question is. And yet here we are 2 weeks away from Mookie Betts playing shortstop again. It makes no sense. Wherever the organization is that's too nose deep in the laptop, can we find them, please, and use them? Can we have that Dodgers organization? Because I think they'd be great. They'd probably be pretty good at baseball. They would probably have their laptop tell them to do something like, I don't know, play Tommy Edman at shortstop, who's one of the best defenders in baseball. Because you have, like, when your lineup is Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez, Will Smith, Max Muncy, Gavin Lux, right? Who am I missing? Like,
and then whoever bottom two of the order would be.
You can afford to put, Andy Pages and Tommy Edman 8-9 and get away with it. That's fine.
Oh yeah.
You can sacrifice a little bit of offense for defense, because if those first 7 names that I listed aren't hitting the ball, it doesn't matter. They're not going to win games. So like, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Especially now, like with the full roster coming back into the picture, it doesn't track to me at all, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, because that in that scenario, either you could do Edman at short and like Kiermaier in center,
which is fine.
Stick Kiermaier 8th and have Edman bat 9th, because as I've mentioned in the past, I like the idea of Edman batting 9th because of his speed and his ability to be on base in front of Ohtani. Or you have Rojas play short and have Edman at center. And then you just have Mookie play right field in either scenario, or you move him back to second. It's
the issue is just that Gavin Lux can't play the outfield.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it is kind of baffling to see where this super analytics forward organization has had a lot of moments where, and we could do an entire dissertation on Dave and his bullpen management and how like his biggest issue is not actually him managing too analytically. It's actually the opposite, is that his biggest issue with his bullpen management is that he goes way too much off of his feel, and your feel can be wrong, which is the whole reason why people use analytics. And he has a feel that's really weird sometimes. I don't know how else to put it.
Dave's feel for the game looks like Braille sometimes. Just, dude, God, makes no
Yeah,
sense.
it's the bullpen has been interesting. I
I
love
won't.
the addition of Michael Kopech. I'm so
Yeah,
excited
he's been
because he
fine. He's
already
been
looks
good.
dominant, and I
Yeah,
truly believe that he's somebody who should be pitching high leverage innings over the last month of the season.
Dodgers pitching lab goes nuts, man.
Yeah.
I'm more willing to give the bullpen slack, just because the starting pitching situation has been so just dog water
Mm-hmm.
that like the bullpen is routinely being asked to throw 4 innings a night,
Yeah.
and any bullpen in baseball is going to be gassed. Like that's just
Mhm.
not how it works. So yeah, except Blake. Blake doesn't get a pass. You're supposed to be better than that, dude. Come on,
Yeah. Yeah.
no
Exactly.
passes for Blake.
And that's why, like, for example, you look at Tuesday night where after Granderall's injury, he was like, shit, here, Brent Honeywell, go out there and pitch. And then was just like, okay, Brent Honeywell, pitch every inning. Okay, finish the game. It's the 6th inning. He's like, all right, you're gonna finish the game. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that is largely because there's been a huge workload asked of the pen, because starters haven't been going that deep into the games, which is not. It's not an analytic thing why they're not going deep into games. It's because they had to get pulled due to ineffectiveness. So, yeah, that's, you reap what you sow when you when you call on your manager to pull guys the second they clearly don't have it. Well, yeah, those innings build up on the bullpen, and sometimes guys won't be as effective. Not Anthony Banda though. Anthony Banda's been great.
Shout out to him.
So shout out Anthony Banda. The Banda Express is very real.
I think I think the most interesting thing to happen with the Dodgers in this last week is that trio of AAA call-ups, right? I think that's probably, which also goes into the whole thing we've been talking about this, like, feels like almost extra roster crunch they're going to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, yeah, Dalton Rushing went up to AAA and he's playing exclusively in left field.
Yeah.
So, like, are you planning on calling him up and then just playing him in the outfield, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But again, what, you're going to platoon him with Jason Hayward, or you're going to platoon him with Teoscar Hernandez, which you wouldn't do because Teoscar's been awesome.
Right.
So it all just comes back to Mookie playing shortstop, and it just makes me mad. It just makes me really mad. It doesn't make any sense.
The bat on Dalton Rushing is legit, and that's why he's been shooting up the minors recently. But it is very interesting to see a guy who's been developing as a catcher now suddenly put in left field of all places.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, because like Will Smith is going to hold that position down for the next decade, and I mean, at some point, like, I guess Hunter Fiducia or Diego Cartaya has to be the backup. Right. Like, Austin Barnes can't live forever.
No.
So, like,
I mean, if he's taking whatever he's taken this year, then,
maybe. If Rushing's bat is legit, then yeah, you have to find somewhere for him to play in the majors.
Yeah.
But that just feels like such a quick rise for a guy.
Yeah.
Because I think we were talking, and it's just like last year that he made his big splash debut.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that feels like a quick rise for him. But I hope it works out. It would be awesome. I see a lot of people saying that he could be the Dodgers Schwarber. Which, like, all right, sure, I guess.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the same trajectory. Kyle Schwarber did come up as a catcher.
Yeah.
So that is interesting to think about.
Remember that.
That's very compelling. I want to continue on this, but really quickly, it just have to be mentioned that the fact that Austin Barnes has like actually like been okay this year, like he has. I think Joe mentioned last night it's his highest batting average since 2017. Like he's like actually hitting okay, and it's kind of weird. Like I'm not saying that he needs to play more. No,
please not. God, no. We would never we would never advocate for that on this show. The moment we do, we're retiring from podcasting.
But
that's how you know we're hanging him up.
It does help that now, like when Kershaw pitches, He doesn't have a complete zero in the lineup by
Yeah.
forcing Austin Barnes into the
Oh,
lineup.
that's rad. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So good on him. Yeah, good on Austin. And by the way, good to see Kershaw pitch well in his outing against the Phillies. He kind of
it was crazy. They skipped his start in San Diego. Like, it's crazy they did that.
Yeah,
but, like,
he's
old.
Yeah,
he's old.
He was. He went down the Embarcadero. He was just hanging out. He's he got some tacos and DP.
They lost him in the gas lamp. He had a beer for the first time in 20 years, and he just blacked out.
But yeah, no, I think it was a strong start against obviously a very good team. Sure, the Phillies have been struggling, but they're still one of the best, if not the best team in baseball.
Yeah.
So for him to come out there and be as effective as he was, I thought was a great sign.
Mm-hmm.
It's
fine.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's just hard because it's like, I feel like Kershaw showing any signs of being like, still a good pitcher is like a recipe for disaster, because Dave's gonna like lean on him a little too much at some point.
Yeah.
It's gonna be terrifying.
Yeah, we can't get too excited about it now. Let's just
you just gotta take a good Clayton Kershaw outing as like a present.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, free money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's
we've got, hopefully, if Yamamoto's throwing bullpen sessions now, which is really good. And so if you look at the playoffs, and hopefully you've got a healthy Glass now, Yamamoto and Flaherty as your top 3 starters. And if I know Gavin Stone has ran into some struggles recently, again, we're recording this before his start against the Phillies, so hopefully that's better. But prior to this start, at least he's been rocked a lot since his shutout in Chicago. But if he kind of returns to form a little bit, and if somebody like Bobby Miller does kind of, I guess I can mention Walker Buehler, but if somebody can like show that they could be a Game 4 starter, and not Kershaw, that's ideal. But if Kershaw is the best shot we have in a Game 4, I'm gonna be kind of nervous. But
it depends. Well, I mean, I guess it would depend.
Yeah,
if they're up like 3-0 and they're just trying to.
Yeah, I will. I'll be hopefully optimistic, but
if they're facing elimination, just gonna get the thank you fans tweet loaded up in the drafts.
I want to revisit the stuff though. We'll close it with this. We're talking about Dalton rushing, and kind of what my one more thought on rushing, because there's a couple other promotions that were interesting, but my one other thought on rushing is, it is interesting to see them make this move after the trade deadline, where he was mentioned as like a piece. And I looked more into it, and I think you were more right, Beau, than my reading of it. But that his inclusion in a trade for Garrett Crochet was kind of the sticking point on the Dodgers end.
I don't think so.
And so it is interesting to see them now suddenly adjust and say, well, actually, you're going to play left field, which feels more of like a, we're very much committing to you sort of thing, rather than just developing you as a trade piece. But if they were developing him as just a trade piece, then why was that the sticking point? Like it would have been fine if he was the centerpiece of a deal for Garrett Crochet, because you're bringing Crochet in. He's going to be in that rotation for a few years. Like it's a more long-term deal.
I mean, yeah, I think like we mentioned with the Yankees, where they don't ever want to lose a trade. I think the Dodgers kind of always want to make sure that they win a deal.
Yeah.
Like they don't ever want to overpay for anybody, unless it's like they would like overpay for, like, I don't know, like if who's a random really great pitcher, whatever. If like a Tariq, if Skubal was actually available, maybe they would like overpay for him. Or like if Ohtani was actually available last year, they probably would have overpaid for him.
Yeah.
But I think otherwise, like, I don't think they have any interest in not winning a trade. Because all the time, it's like they've never lost. Like they don't really ever lose a deal. Like when's the last time they lost a deal in anybody's eyes? Like,
they win for the most part. Their losses are the random ones that came back to haunt them a while later.
Yeah, like what it was it Josh Fields or Jordan?
Where they pick, give a team a lottery ticket and they pick the wrong one.
Yeah.
Like, here's O'Neal Cruz. Here's
O'Neal
But outside
Cruz.
of those, like their hit rate is
Yeah, like
very high.
it's enormous.
The other moves that were interesting, you had Alex Freeland, who's an infielder, get called up to AAA. Which again, now that with Trey Sweeney gone,
I hardly knew you.
hey, thanks for the memories, Trey. They, as you mentioned, there's still like no real clear plan for shortstop moving forward, and so it kind of seems like this is another guy he's been developing rather well. So give him some looks in AAA, see if maybe there's something there for the future. So that's good to see that, and we all have to keep our eyes on Edgardo Enriquez, who listen, 104 is the new 103, by the way. The Angels have Ben Joyce or Brett Joyce? What's his they have their reliever Joyce.
Oh yes,
104.
that guy threw 104.
Yeah, and
Ben Joyce.
like he's literally unhittable. Yeah, Ben Joyce. And he's just been like flat out dominant for them. Edgardo Enriquez is hitting 104 in the minors and has been called up to AAA. And I do wonder then, like, this is also kind of, again, bigger conversation here, but as we've talked about in the past, like the way that pitchers are developed now, and how like throwing at max velocity is obviously like not good for a pitcher's long-term health. However,
we're on the same page here.
If you're in the minors and you can just hammer 104 and be a flash in the pan and like get one contract that gets you paid, then why not?
Why not just do it in the majors?
Yeah.
No one on planet Earth can hit 104 if you can place it properly. So why not try it in the majors? Why not?
Yeah. So
I think I totally agree with you.
Yeah, this feels like a guy who probably should get a shot in the majors before the end of the season, because if you're throwing at that velocity,
like, and they don't have like the September call-ups anymore, right? Like they don't do that.
I don't think so. I think they expand to like 28 still, but I don't know if that was taken away. So you get
all the good stuff in baseball taken away.
Yeah,
miss having a comfortable 15-game lead in the NL West, and you can call up all your prospects in August and September to see how they do.
It was great. I remember like going to a final game of a season where it was the Dodgers it was the day after. I was at the game the day after Steve Finley hit the home run, because that was the second to last game of the season where the walk-off grand slam clinches the division against the Giants. So the game after that did not matter at all. And so I believe Victor Alvarez started that game, who was a young lefty who started like 5 games for the Dodgers. And it was the everybody on the 40-man that had maybe played one game that season in the majors was all in the lineup that day.
That's real baseball.
That's
real baseball right there.
Like a Joe Thurston and a Chin-Wei Sao. Chin-Wei Sao was the reliever.
God bless you.
Shin-Fang Chen. Shin-Fang Chen was their outfielder from Korea.
It's the bad guy in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. What are you talking
about? God, they had so it was the who's who of like the Dodgers AAA in the early 2000s. And got to see that in action. So I missed that. We got
to bring that back.
Yeah.
We could return. It's fine. What we should do is, if they DFA Kike, we just tell Dodger fans that Rob Manfred ordered it. Oh my God, no! We tell Dodger fans that Rob Manfred ordered it, and then we tell K-pop fans that he doesn't like K-pop.
There we go.
And the two will combine.
He's gone.
There we go. He's done. He's out.
When is his retirement again? Is it after next season?
Not soon enough.
Yeah, what the hell?
Should be tomorrow.
Or was it like 4 more years? I think it was.
He's doing the Dan Patrick.
Yeah. I'm like, am I just confusing you with Dan Patrick's?
I'm retiring in 2037. 2029.
Oh Jesus!
So we got 5 more years, baby.
That's a whole presidency.
Technically 6, because it says January 2029.
Yeah.
We will be 1 year into whoever is the president in 2028. We will be 1 year into their presidency.
Oh God, President Tim Walz. That's where we'll be.
I have a feeling it's going to be President Johnny Depp or something stupid.
Oh God. All right, let's we'll close up shop here. So this is the Sick Podcast, the Dodgers Zone. Beau, tell the people where they can follow you and find you on Twitter.
Follow me on Twitter at Beau Not Jackson, spelled the correct way.
Thank you.
I will not spell it out. BEAUNOTJACKSON. There you go.
All right. And my name is Ryan Bershinger. You can follow me on Twitter, Ryan, and then at Ryan Bershinger, BURSCHINGER.
There you go.
You could follow.
Can you imagine if you screwed that up?
My first driver's license. I like because I was nervous when you sign the signature. Spelled my last name wrong, but I just skipped the C. But it was a signature, so whatever. It was scribble, but I'm like,
dude, I'll show you. I'll show you my signature. So good. I don't sign anything anymore. I just write two squigglies and I'm done.
That's good. No, that's the way to go.
So if you want to commit credit card fraud with my name, pretty easy.
Just all you need is a couple lines.
Pretty easy.
This is the Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone. Follow us on Twitter at SickPodDodgers. Follow us on YouTube and follow and subscribe. Just follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. So Monse will join us actually, I think next time.
Yeah,
I am gone.
Time, you're gone. You're out of here
for the next
You're
2
finished.
weeks.
You're finished.
Monse will be
there's
back
a new
next
sheriff in
time.
town next week, buddy.
This is my final show. No, I am gone for the next 2 weeks, so I will catch you guys soon. But we'll check us out next week. We're back every single week. The Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone. Domo arigato, everyone. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Peace.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone, on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.